This is the Savvy Investor radio show and podcast. For help with your retirement, schedule a 15-minute phone conversation with the team at ProStatus Financial Advisors today. Just call 866-597-1040 and at thesavvyinvestorradio.com.
Catherine, I know you've been doing this for a while. Ryan's been doing this for a while. I've been doing this for a while, talking about finances and retirement. And I've been noticing a change in the financial news headlines. It's kind of weird. And so, for instance, annuities, you would bring that up, and that used to be annuities are the work of the devil. Okay, so now annuities are a viable income source. Tax planning never used to make any of the lists. Here's what you have to do for retirement. They never say tax planning. Now it's on every single list. 401ks, it was the savior for pensions when pensions went away. Now all we talk about is how a 401k is a tax trap. There's high fees. There's not a lot of choices. So a lot of these things have just come 180. It's kind of strange. So talk to me about the annuity conversation. Let's start that one right away.
Well, anytime you say the word annuity, you can always see people's hesitation because of all the headlines that they read. Susie Orman says, I hate annuities, because of all the high fees. You have Ken Fisher, who talks about this is why I hate annuities and you should too, but he owns one of the biggest annuity firms in the country. So there's all this negative noise about annuities, but a lot of people, when they come into the office and they're approaching retirement, they're looking for, growth, protection, and liquidity. And we always say that you can only choose, two of those when you're looking at investments. You can have growth and liquidity. You can have protection and growth. You just can't have all three. Mm-hmm. And one of the easiest ways to produce that income that Ryan was talking about in retirement, that guaranteed source of income that you won't ever outlive, is to transfer that risk to an insurance company known as an annuity that's going to basically protect your money and promise you that income stream for life. So with the uncertainty of, Social Security in the headlines, with the uncertainty of people's pensions, if they're working for companies that, are no longer in good financial standings, annuities are one of the best ways to protect your income in retirement. It is a guaranteed source that you'll never outlive. When we come in, like Ryan said, we're going to look at your whole portfolio. Like you said, if you save about $1.2 million for retirement and you need that extra $2,000 a month for income, then annuities are the solution, one of the solutions that we're going to present. Well, if we take $400,000 or $300,000 and put that in annuity, that'll generate that $2,000 of income every month that you won't ever outlive. I call that the income island. You know that money's always going to be there, the ups and downs of the markets. It doesn't matter that $2,000 a month is going to be safe and secure. Then everything else left in the portfolio, you could be as risky or conservative as you want to be, because at the end of the day, you know that income is going to be guaranteed.
So there's a lot of different kinds of annuities as well. You hear variable annuities, fixed, indexed, immediate, multi-year guaranteed annuities. There's a lot. It's a confusing landscape out there. And I would think that, inside all those categories, there's probably thousands of things to choose from. How do you choose what you want to use for your clients? And if somebody comes in and say, hey, what do you think of this? You got to kind of evaluate that and see if it's right for them.
Mm-hmm. There's very specific annuities that are designed for just income growth, guaranteed income. There's other annuities that are out there that are just designed for growth with no risk. So those are a different type of annuity that we look at that sometimes we use for a bond replacement strategy, things like that. And then there's other annuities out there that function like the multi-year guarantee annuities that are basically like CDs. They have a fixed rate for a certain period of time. It all depends on what the goal is. And then depending on the goal, we look at, does an annuity make sense for that goal or not? Because there's lots of different options out there. And then there's also lots of different annuities. So what type of annuity is out there that'll help you achieve that goal? So again, it all comes down to working with professionals like Ryan and myself. Sit down with us. We'll look at your goals. We'll look at if an annuity makes sense for you or not.
And I would say that, most people, when you Google the word annuity, like Catherine said, you're going to get Susie Orman talking about how much she hates annuities. You're going to get Ken Fisher saying, I hate annuities and you should too. And, annuities have gotten a bad rap over the years because of variable annuities. Variable annuities, you essentially, when you think of an insurance salesman, you kind of correspond them to a used car salesman as someone selling a variable annuity or someone selling just life insurance. And, not that those aren't Everything has a purpose. Annuities aren't good. Annuities aren't bad. They're just a tool there. And you want to make sure that whatever retirement decision you're going to make, you have the most informed decision. And I like to kind of phrase it when I compare it to playing golf. Yes, if you go play golf, you can get by with using a putter, a driver, a 5-iron, and a pitching wedge. And you can probably play the entire course. It might take you a little bit longer. You're not going to be able to make all the shots you want to make, but yes, you can get through a game of golf doing it that way. Well, do you want to go into retirement with just a driver, a pitching wedge, a 5-iron, and a putter and getting through that way? Or do you want to approach retirement like some of these golfers that you see out there, where they have every single club imaginable in their bag? They're not going to use every single one of those clubs on the golf course every single day, but they're prepared for any situation that comes at you. And when it comes to retirement planning, that's the approach that Katherine and myself and we take here at ProStatus. Is we have a whole bag of golf clubs, a whole bag of investments out there that are available to you. Some of them might be appropriate, some might not. It's our job as fiduciaries to show you, here are the problems you're going to face in retirement. Here's your problem for income. Here are 4 or 5 different ways we can solve that problem for retirement. One of them can be an annuity. One can be using the overall market, dividend stocks, bond portfolio, whatever it happens to be. But at the end of the day, you want to know the pluses and minuses, the pros and cons of whatever you're going to choose. And you want to have the most information available to make that decision to help you sleep at night, because that's the most important thing, is that once you retire, you shouldn't be worried about the overall market. That's what annuities are good for, is they say no matter what happens, you're going to have the income you need. So it's like creating your own private pension.
So we're going through this list here of how some of the headlines and some of financial opinions have changed. Annuities is one of them. As we baby boomers have moved into retirement, we've said, hey, I need a paycheck. I need income. An annuity is one thing to look at when it is to produce income. So these things are now being used a lot more in retirement than what they used to be, perhaps. Now, the next two here kind of go together, Ryan, and that is tax planning. It never really made the list of these are the things you've got to do in retirement. And that's because a lot of us have these 401ks. It produces a tax problem. So these kind of go together. Talk to me about how tax planning over the last couple of years has really become more of a must in retirement planning.
Well, prior to 2018, tax planning, I feel like wasn't a big part of retirement planning for most financial advisors out there. Ever since I came to ProStatus way back in 2007, I believe, Mike was very big on tax planning, and he kind of drove home tax planning with myself and Katherine when we were, at this point, 20 years younger and, fresh out of college with all these grand ideas in our head. But, ever since 2018 with the implement of the Tax Cut and Jobs Act, where Trump lowered the overall tax rates and he widened those brackets, tax planning all of a sudden became much more of a topic, because Roth conversions became much more attractive to people because of how much more income we could put on their tax return without raising their tax bracket, without raising their tax percentage, because there's so much more income we can fit in those brackets. And with a Roth conversion, that's essentially what you're doing. If you're taking $100,000 out of your IRA and converting it to a Roth, well, you're adding $100,000 worth of taxable income onto your tax return. And prior to 2018, that $100,000 more than likely would jump you up 1, maybe 2 tax brackets. Once the Tax Cut and Jobs Act happened, for most people, we could stay inside that bracket. So tax planning has really become much more of a recent thing. And I'm starting to see it being offered a lot more by other financial advisors. Candidly, I get invitations to my house for my mother-in-law, since we bought their house from them, because she is 64, 65 now at this point. So she's getting all those dinner invites. Come have dinner at Ruth Chris. Come have dinner at this restaurant. Come have dinner at that restaurant. And, I read all of them because I want to see what they're messaging. I want to see what's going on. And tax planning really has become that a bigger topic out there to where people were ignoring it, because I think that it's such an important topic that if you're not having those conversations with your financial advisor, you need to ask them why. Why aren't you talking to me about taxes? Either they're choosing not to talk to you about it, or they're not allowed to. A lot of statements, just like they say past performance doesn't guarantee future results, at the bottom of those statements also is a disclaimer that says, we don't give you tax advice. Go talk to your tax person about tax advice. And then you're left to go talk to your CPA. You're going to ask them a question, or your tax preparer, whomever it's going to be. You're going to ask them one particular question, and they will give you that answer in a vacuum without considering all those other aspects. Mm-hmm. If I take $1,000 out of my IRA, what tax should I have on it? Oh, well, you should have 20% and 7%. Not thinking about the impact that $1,000 has on the rest of your tax return. Is it going to cause more of your Social Security to become taxable? How's it going to change your Medicare? Is it going to change my capital gains rates? There's all different aspects to taxes that go along with your investments, and it all needs to be a part by having a true tax plan in place in retirement, because taxes don't just go away. There's no magic age to where you don't have to pay taxes anymore. Mm-hmm. But with proper planning, we can get you down to that 0% tax bracket.
You're listening to the Savvy Investor Radio Show and podcast with the team at ProStatus Financial. Ryan Herbert is here, Katherine Groce is here, and we're talking today about the things that you need to do to get ready for retirement. And having that income and those taxes taken care of are probably job number 1 and 2. And that is where you're going to be if you come over to ProStatus Financial. Give us a call. Give us a look at our website, 866-597-1040, or use our website, which is the Savvy investorradio.com. If you saved $500,000 or more for retirement, put it all together. What's in the bank account, what's in your IRAs, what's in your 401k, put it all together. I'll bet you'll find it's more than $500,000. That's where you're going to start to see the real benefits of what we're talking about here. Tax planning, 401k planning, Social Security planning, income planning. And it's all on our website, thesavvyinvestorradio.com. There's a button there that says schedule a meeting. There's also a tax analysis button. You can start any way you want to right there. But what this does is it basically triggers a 15-minute phone call. No charge, no obligation, where we get your questions out on the table, see how we may be able to help, and then that may lead to us sitting down and really put the papers out on the table and really starting to do some planning. Again, thesavvyinvestorradio.com or 866-597-1040.
Advisory services offered through ProStatus Financial Advisors Group, a registered investment advisor. Insurance licensed in Maryland. ProStatus Financial Advisors Group, LLC is not licensed in all 50 states. To find out if ProStatus Financial Advisors Group is licensed in your state, please call 410-863-1040. ProStatus Group, LLC is not affiliated with nor endorsed by the Social Security Administration or any other government agency and does not provide legal or tax advice. Annuity guarantees rely solely on the financial strength and claims-paying ability of the issuing insurance company. By contacting us, you may be provided with information about insurance and annuity products offered through representatives of ProStatus Financial Advisors Group.